to ask either myself or my colleague James Clements here from Sparsholt Group any questions relating to apprenticeships. So to introduce myself, my name's Helen Mitchell. I'm the apprenticeship manager across both Sparsholt and Andover campus. So I oversee the majority of the apprenticeships here. And my colleague James Clements, Senior Apprenticeship Liaison Officer, I'll let him introduce himself.
Thank you, Helen. Yeah, I'm the Senior Apprenticeship Liaison Officer at Sparsholt and Andover College. As liaison officers, we are literally the middle people in between the employers and the apprentices to ensure they are recruited and they have success on their program. We stay with them for the whole duration of their program throughout the entirety of their apprenticeship. We look after different sectors and different curriculum areas and different job roles across all different industries. So depending on what industry you're in, you'll have a dedicated liaison officer relevant for you, available for you for your apprentice and your apprenticeship.
Thank you, James. So as part of this session, we wanted to be quite flexible, but we've got a basic agenda that we're going to run through with you. So in a moment, we'll just introduce a session with a video of James just explaining partly about the apprenticeship programme and how it works. Then we're going to go into sort of some questions. So the 3 top questions we're generally asked by employers. And then what we'll do is showcase a second video, which is one of our employers talking about what their experiences have been as part of the programme. And it will give you then opportunities to submit any questions that you have for us that we can answer live here. So with no further ado, what we'll do is show you the first video. Thank you.
I'm James Clements. I'm the Senior Apprenticeship Liaison Officer at Sparsholt College. So Sparsholt and Andover College cover a wide range of apprenticeships spanning over land-based industries as well as professional industries. An apprenticeship is the perfect way to get into an industry that anyone wants to start off with. So an apprenticeship is brilliant for career progression because they've entered that industry. Once they achieve it, then opens up an insight to what the industry is going to be like, as well as allows them to naturally progress into further job roles. It's a really great opportunity to have an introduction to working life, as well as the ability to study alongside a qualification that's not only going to be a benefit for the company once they achieve, but also a huge benefit for them, for their professional development moving forward. The biggest benefits for an employer is they're able to mould the apprentice to exactly how they want, exactly to their working standards and exactly to the task at hand and the job role that they're after. We work with employers on a day-to-day basis, anything from recruiting for their posts and advertising to supporting their apprentice throughout the programme and keeping them informed of their progress throughout and ensuring they're working within a safe and practical environment. As an employer, if someone's considering taking on an apprentice, please get in touch and we can let you know what courses and apprenticeships we offer and how suitable they are for the job roles that you're looking to recruit for. So for anyone that's considering becoming an apprentice, the best thing to do is do your own research, consider the industries and the job roles you want to go into do. The Institute for Apprenticeships website is really good because it's recently been updated. There's a new model of apprenticeships that's been running now for the last 4 years. Get in contact with Sparsholt or Andover College and find out what apprenticeships we offer. We have a huge client base of employers that we work with over a number of years, so I'm sure we'll be able to help you find the right one.
Great. So that was just a quick video about some sort of basic information. Now, in terms of the questions that we regularly get asked from our employers, probably top of the list is, what will it cost me? So in terms of taking on an apprentice, you have to consider recruitment. Now, that's something that we can help you out with, and there's a free website that finds an apprenticeship where you can advertise your vacancies free of charge if you're looking for somebody. You can run your own recruitment campaigns, which if you wish, you can put some money into, but the majority of the time they could be advertised via social media quite freely or on your website. But in terms of the main cost for an employer, it's the salary. So, each employer will have to pay their apprentice for the duration of their programme. Now, minimum salary at this moment in time is £4.81 for an apprentice, and that's the absolute minimum. We usually encourage our employers to pay more than that, so something between £6 and £8 an hour, but that will ultimately depend on the individual in terms of age and experience. But we are conscious that a lot of apprentices are school leavers, so therefore will be classed as a trainee or a junior, and the £4.81 is therefore for a reason. Now, in terms of the cost of the qualification itself, 16 to 18-year-olds are fully funded by government, so there is no cost to you as an employer in terms of the qualification itself. However, if you take on a 19 plus, somebody aged 19 or over, there is a 5% contribution that's expected from you. However, that would be discussed on every individual basis, depending on the apprenticeship that's involved. Now, some employers also support their apprentices with transport cost and food cost, but ultimately, that's an agreement that you would have directly with your particular apprentice. So, the main cost involved from the employer is paying the salary. Probably the second highest question and most popular question that we get asked is, how do we find an apprentice? So sometimes employers come with an individual that they've had on work experience or been with them on a Saturday, but a lot of the time employers are looking to recruit somebody. So James, I don't know if that's something that you want to chat about, how an employer could find a young person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. So what we would do is essentially work with you on those bases first that Helen mentioned. So if there's anyone who's been working with you part-time, or anyone's been doing a bit of sessional work, or anyone that's really shared an interest in your business firsthand, because that is always a good indication that they enjoy it and they want to go start a career within it and start an apprenticeship within it. Aside from that, we also would have our own resources here. So we get hundreds of applications over the course of the academic year across all different subject areas of students, and from open days and open events, and students just wanting to embark on starting an apprenticeship and not really knowing the first sort of point of call. So once they apply, we do the interviews, we go through the process with them, we ensure they're a suitable candidate, and then we offer them a place subject to them securing that employment. And that's when we can potentially reach out to yourself as the employer to say, well, we've already had a few people apply for this apprenticeship and 2 of them in your area, or 1 of them's in your area, or we can work with them to see sort of where it is they'll be needed on a daily basis from work. The other option, as Helen mentioned previously as well, is advertising. There is a national government website that is set up to advertise for all apprenticeships that we do manage and we do oversee, but you as the employer now also have an option to manage and oversee as well, should you wish. It was kind of a new introduction that was brought in a few years ago, sort of off the back of the pandemic, or with the pandemic, that it gives employers an option now to advertise their own vacancy and manage it their own way. But we can also help with managing that as well as yourself. There is also, those are basically the 3 most common ones. And you can go down the routes of sort of private training, private advertising, and private sort of recruitment. There are sort of different ways that you can look throughout it, but you have our full support with hoping to recruit and find you the best candidate for the opportunity that you have.
That's great, James. Thank you. And probably one of the other most frequently asked questions is, how does the apprenticeship work? What's involved? So in terms of an apprenticeship, it's a work-based learning program. So what that means is a qualification linked to a job role. So that job role has to be relevant to that particular apprenticeship standard. And what that means is that employers have to employ an individual for the duration of that qualification, provide them with skills within the workplace. And most of our programs are run on a day release basis, which means that during term time, the apprentice would come into the college, would be in a classroom environment, learning the knowledge through theory. And then the remainder of the week, they would be in situ with you as an employer, learning the job, doing the tasks required, and creating evidence around that. So, you know, a learner would have their own e-portfolio. So they could take product evidence in the workplace. They could have other people take pictures of them, video them doing things that they could upload to their portfolio, so they can show their progression through the apprenticeship. And, you know, at the end of it, it gives an employer the opportunity to take that individual on in a full-time capacity, or to support them in finding alternative employment in the industry. So, you know, ultimately the apprenticeship is to enable those skills in that young person or somebody changing career, to move forward in that industry with your business or potentially with another business. So ultimately it's the college delivery of the qualification alongside their working practices with you, learning in the workplace, and putting them both together to become a competent person at the end of it. So they're probably the three frequently asked questions. So what our thought process was next is that we're going to show you a video, which is an organisation called Chambers of Hamble. They are a butcher. They are an institution that's taken on butchers as apprentices in the past with ourselves, and ironically and quite nicely, the owner of the business was once an apprentice with us too. So you can see it from both perspectives. So what we're going to do is play the video, and whilst that video is playing, if you want to submit any questions within the YouTube channel or to our email address marketing@sparsholt.ac.uk, then what we can do is answer any of those questions on conclusion of the video. So we'll play that video now for you.
My name's Steve Oliver. I'm a Senior Contracts Manager for Chaffin Works. We undertake tree surgery and vegetation management on the infrastructure of the south coast of England. So we work on power lines, highways and the railway. We took on an apprentice to bolster up our workforce, add added value into the workforce and give back and teach more to the next generation of arborists working in our industry. Our apprentice Jamie from Sparsholt is absolutely fantastic. He brings a lot of enthusiasm into our workplace and mixes into our teams really well, and he's very keen to learn, and we're really enjoying having him with us. Working with Sparsholt in the apprenticeship and with Jamie has been really easy all the way through, to be honest. It's the first time this depot has had a proper apprentice, and they've been really helpful and supportive all the way through. So it's a very good working relationship with the college and with Jamie. Coming into the ARB industry, particularly contracting, such as we do, applicants would need to be very aware that the hours are quite long and they can be varying. We can be doing nights, weekends, days, a mixture. Necessarily a head for heights isn't something to worry about, because there's so many avenues such as machine drivers, groundsmen, surveyors. It's a very broad spectrum in the ARB industry. But I think the main thing people need to know coming into this industry is that you'll be working as part of a team and having that real team ethic, because that's how we get jobs done to a good standard. I think taking on apprentices is absolutely fantastic. We have a few apprentices across our other depots in the south, and they're bringing their knowledge back into the workplace. The things that your older generation tree cutters may not know, these guys will be bringing input back into the workplace, which is also then topping up the whole workforce's knowledge. And it's great to have enthusiastic young people working with us. Apprentices are really important into the future of our industry. It's a very old-fashioned trade, and it's moving into the 21st century. I've been cutting trees for nearly 15 years. It's changed so much since I started. It's really important to be having apprentices coming into the industry to be bettering the industry as a whole and improving knowledge in every area that we can. And working with the colleges, they're getting their practical knowledge from work and the theory knowledge from college, and it's a perfect mixture, in my opinion.
So that was the video for Chaffin Work. So apologies, it wasn't the Chamber of Hammer ones. It was the Chaffin one, but a big employer of ours that supports our arborist apprenticeship and continually takes apprentices on sort of year on year, really. So we just wanted to open up then the Q&A. So the rest of the sort of time we have for 15 minutes or so is in relation to some any questions that you might have through the YouTube chat box or through the marketing email address. Now, we've already had one email come in, which is how many hours do I need to employ an apprentice for? So James, did you want to take that question on?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of sort of guidance that we're obviously led by ESFA funding and government guidance on how long an apprentice can be employed for, the minimum requirement is 30 hours a week. And I believe the maximum requirement is 40 if they're under 18. So it does need to hit between those boundaries, which is the typical working week for the majority of sectors as well. But that does also include their college tuition, and that could be their typical 1 day a week. So we do ask all our employers that they do cover their wages for that college day and for that 1 day a week that they're in. But what I would say is, obviously being based at Sparsholt Colleges, we are famously a land-based college. There is quite a lot of industries that aren't the classic 9 to 5, and so we are quite flexible in terms of working with that individual. But we always stay on point to ensure that the safeguard and the well-being for that apprentice is also monitored and looked after as well, and that they're not just working all the hours under the sun and all the time that they need to, but they're also keeping an eye on how they need to be working safely, because that's obviously a huge priority as part of any land-based apprenticeship as well.
Lovely, thank you, James. So the majority of apprentices are employed on a full-time basis, with the allowance of releasing them for their college day to undertake their theory in the classroom. Second question that's come in is how long is an apprenticeship for? So in terms of how long is an apprenticeship, we deliver intermediate, advanced and higher apprenticeships. So intermediate being at level 2, almost entry to industry. Then you've got advanced, which is 3, and then you've got higher apprenticeships, which is anything from sort of level 4 or above. And each of those different levels are different durations. So the minimum duration for an apprenticeship is 12 months. However, the majority of all of our level 2 programs are 15 months. And they can range anything up to sort of 3.5 years. So depending on the level and the program. So typically, 15 months to 2 years is the majority of the program, and from start to finish. So, yeah, sorry, James.
That's right. I've just seen a question pop up in the chat, on the comments saying about what is the process for starting an apprentice. So I assume you're an employer and looking to take an apprentice on. So the best steps would be to check obviously it's a program that we offer at Sparsholt and Andover College. I would say check with your local training provider first, or check your local college. If it is ourselves that are offering it, then our email address will be available in the banner here and going along as well. But do get in contact with us and ask for the apprenticeship team directly, and then we'll be able to help you with running you through the process. But just to give you like a short explanation of how it would typically work, we would typically arrange a meeting or find out a bit more about your business first and what the needs are for your business and how that maps across to the most appropriate apprenticeship that we offer. We will then typically have a face-to-face meeting or a virtual meeting to go through more of the admin, more of the sort of process and the sign up and how it all works essentially, and ensure that we're happy as a training provider that what you're providing meets the requirements of the apprenticeship, but also what the qualification we're offering meets the requirements of what you're wanting to get out of taking on an apprentice and getting a skilled member of staff as the end goal. And the process just goes from there. Then we start with recruitment, or we'd look at if there was anyone you had in mind, or go through that process all the way through to enrollment and with them starting with us. would say that sort of process and that point of contact all the way through to endpoint assessments when they achieve at the end as well.
Fabulous. So we've had a question submitted. Are there any grants available? So in terms of the employer, yes, there are grants available if you're a small employer and you take on what they consider a young person, 16 to 18 years old. So what that is a £1,000 grant, with the government acknowledging that, you know, it sometimes takes a lot more. It's more time consuming to train a young person than potentially somebody with a little bit more experience. So what that looks like is you receive £500 of that 1,000 3 months into programme, or once the apprentice is started and is 3 months in, and then the second £500 is paid at the 12 months point when that learner has reached their year in the apprenticeship. So that's for a 16 to 18-year-old as an apprentice with a small business, and what that means is any institution that employs less than 50 members of staff. So currently that is the only grant that is available for an employer through the apprenticeship programme. Haven't got any other questions come in just yet. So I think what we'll do is play the video that I alluded to earlier in terms of Chamber of Hamble, who are the butchery outlet that I mentioned. So we'll show that video now, and we'll give you opportunity to submit any further questions through the email address or through the YouTube channel.
I'm Jake, owner of Chambers of Hamble, in Hamble, and a previous Sparsholt College student. I know the benefits of being an apprentice because I was one. I was one at Sparsholt College. I did my butchery apprenticeship, and the skills that they teach you, even though it was only 1 day a week, it was ideal for me. It was a perfect balance. You learnt your basic crucial skills at the college, nice skills, food hygiene, and it allows you to take those skills into your workplace. So for me, I know I've been there, I've done it, I've seen what they offer you, and I've seen how it allows you to grow when you're in your workplace. So for me, I would definitely go. It was a great balance for me, knowing those bits and then going straight into the workplace and being able to use those skills and adapt to the butchery skills further. Because of the skills that they were giving me, I was able to take those into my workplace and now have my own place, which is really nice for me. A lot of the people locally, they like getting to know us in here. Tommy's a great character for that. They like to get to know him, see what's going on, and it's nice to have another person who likes to get on with stuff. Having someone that's enthusiastic, interested to learn, they're the two biggest things that you're looking for. And to top it all off, to have someone who's trustworthy, reliable, it's the whole parcel for me. If another business was thinking about taking on an apprentice, I'd definitely recommend it. When they're a blank slate, you can mould them to how you want it to be. You can always have people that know what they're doing, or they think they know what they're doing. Apprentices, you can start from square one, get them in the right ways early for you. Every business is different, and that's why the apprentices are so good. Where they don't really know what they want to do at that time, or they don't know how to do things, you can always show them your way of it. For me, they're the way forward. I couldn't recommend them enough.
Fantastic. So yeah, that was the video of one of our employers that we work with regularly. So just to open the floor really to see if there was any further questions that anybody had that they can submit through the YouTube chat box, or they could email marketing@sparsholt.ac.uk. The only other thing that that I was going to mention was that, you know, different industries in terms of our provision and what we supply. So, you know, in terms of our land-based provision, we do horticulture, arboriculture, we do equine studies, animal management, veterinary nursing, agriculture. You know, we do lots of land-based provision here, but also in Andover, we offer the tertiary provision. So, you know, motor vehicle, electrical, hairdressing, childcare. So we deliver a number of different apprenticeships which are available on our website, and each of those programs are delivered very differently and have a different expectation. So if you've got any questions as an employer in terms of a specific industry, please do email your questions into marketing@sparsholt.ac.uk, because we would be really happy to chat to you about that. What sort of other qualifications are involved. It might not be day release, we might do it block release. So yeah, each program's very different, and we'd be keen to chat with you on an individual basis about your needs and and what you would want out of an apprenticeship, so that we can support you with that whole process, really. So James, unless you had anything else that you wanted to add, I'll close the session in a moment.
I was just going to sort of add on to what you said, Helen, about the employers considering sort of the courses that Sparsholt and Andover both offer. It's sort of, if you think that I don't see how my job or my workplace or my role or my business would fit into an apprenticeship, just get in contact with us anyway. We can pinpoint you to a website called the Institute for Apprenticeships website, which has all of the apprenticeships offered nationwide in England. There's over 800 apprenticeships on there. You'd be really surprised what you can study an apprenticeship in. And that website can be really helpful to look at different courses and find the exact course that is perfect for your business. If it's something that we offer or not, we're sort of happy to help and pinpoint into that. Point you in that direction.
Yep, so any questions or need that you have, feel free to contact us. So I think we've only got 4 minutes left of the session, and there's no other questions at the moment that have been filtered through. So I think what we'll do is probably close that for now, and what will happen is every employer that's been registered for today's event through Eventbrite, we will send you some information following this live Q&A session, so that you have a point of contact if you wish to submit any questions further. But if there's nothing further to add, thank you for joining us today, and look forward to hopefully speaking to you in due course.
Thank you.
Thank you.